The team called X to the Power from DTU asked themselves a question: how can power to X be scaled down to private customers? Well, we are curious. It's yours.
Hello everybody, we're X to Power. I'm Eric, this is Mikkel. We work closely together with Siemens and a representative from there. Our main challenge consisted of figuring out how to bring X to Power technology more available to basically everybody in the world. And the way we thought about that was, how are we using X to Power technology now? Now X to Power technology is mostly in larger industries and governments. We don't really see it as a consumer product. We see it with solar panels on roofs. That's a way to use power to X, but then now we need to turn this extra storage power back into power. So a way we see that for the future is a way it's already been done in the industry is with hydrogen storage.
Yes, so our idea for a solution is that you made the choice to buy solar panels for your house, and then summertime comes, the sun is shining, and you will not be able to use all this energy in your house, so you have an excess amount of energy. And usually, if you don't have any type of storage solution, then you will have to return this to the public power grid. And usually, in the summertime, this will cost you a fee, actually. So we think it's a way better idea to actually save this energy in your own house, so you can be able to use it later when you're not producing enough power with your solar panels. So our idea, using power to X, is that you use this excess energy in an electrolysis system to produce hydrogen that you then can store in tanks, and then when the sun's not shining, then you can return this to a house via a hydrogen fuel cell system to use electricity. And a full tank system on 1 cubic meters could power your house for days or weeks at a time without the solar panels producing anything. So yes, that's our idea.
And the potential for this is quite big, just not just only in the resources, because lithium is a limited resource here on Earth, whereas hydrogen is the most abundant resource in the universe. Just in the US alone, there's over 3.2 million homes with solar panels that would be viable customers or users for such a system. If there was a fee where they live, they would not need to pay this fee. They would be able to use all the energy they produce all year round. It would also reduce the strain on the power grid. We have seen that a large amount in Denmark, where we talk about upgrading the power grid, because when everybody cooks at night or brews coffee in the morning, the power grid is very strained. And if everybody had their own small power source at home, they could just use that instead of straining the power grid. And this would also allow, if we had such a system in a home, would allow total independence or partial independence from external crises such as the energy crisis in Europe last year, but also from, let's say, the US, it could be power outages or total blackouts in areas. The innovative part of this project is figuring out how we can solve this X to Power in a different way than just using, let's say, batteries that consists of limited rare earth materials. And we did this by combining existing solutions, just like Siemens is usually doing. They're very great at being system architects for such systems for a larger scale. So we wanted to challenge them as well and bring it to a smaller scale. And if we get to the production of these units, we could produce a huge amount, and that would actually push the innovation within the field and make the fuel cells and electrolysis systems cheaper to produce in the future, such as we have seen in the last 10 or so years with solar panels.
Yeah, so that's our last problem with feasibility. The technology exists right now, but it's still very, very expensive. But we would like to look at it as other new types of technologies, such as solar panels. And you can see on the figure that solar panels in the last 10 years has took a significant drop in pricing. And this is actually also our expectation for fuel cells in the next few years. A lot of companies are starting to invest a lot in research in fuel cell technologies and starting a production line. And this is the biggest cause of the huge price of fuel cell system right now, is that there doesn't exist any infrastructure or a large production line. So we expect in the next 10 years that it could be competitive in the future with using fuel cells as an alternative to lithium batteries, which is, again, a limited resource. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have questions from the jury.
Well, just if I may start, at the moment, at least in this country, you can buy a virtual battery for some 25 euros per month. So what would be the cost of your solution? Would it be viable for small appliances?
Yeah, well, for small appliances, it would be just as useful as anything else, because you need the power. So if you have the power you produce yourself, you don't pay for the power from the government or some other provider.
Okay. Again, also for you, I think we have 5 or 6 student teams in Eindhoven who work on similar solutions or parts of the solution, for example, different types of batteries. So I think an exchange with them would be useful. One of them is, by the way, here in the room. Yeah. So talk to each other. My question is about safety. Putting a hydrogen tank in the backyard of every home seems like a little bit risky. So did you maybe consider other target groups, maybe industrial target groups or agricultural target groups, where it might be more viable and more secure and have a little bit more space to take precautions?
Yes, we definitely considered the hydrogen storage problem, but we looked at we also looked at the legal in Denmark. Then it was actually not that bad. If you have a smaller storage system, then it only had to be a few yards away or a few meters away from the house and 5 meters away from the garden. But it would also be, we also thought about, it would be a great idea to use it in a more open fields areas. And then you could also, instead of solar panels, you could use it also for wind turbines, because those are usually more present in larger fields. So we think that would be. And there is also some other companies doing alternatives. We also looked at storing it via lithium hydrides. Then you don't have the explosive gas, but then again, you would just be using lithium again, and we want to avoid that. So yeah, I think that's why we ended in the storage tanks.
Thank you for introducing this idea. My question is, how exactly, or what exactly is your team role in developing this technology, and how are you going to carry on? What are the next steps to actually get to the solution of the problem? I didn't really see that here.
Our team role has mostly been to validate the technology for Siemens, to figure out if this would be something that could be interesting business-wise for Siemens to engage in. So maybe to acquire certain companies or to develop these systems themselves. So the next step would be to work closer together with Siemens and maybe develop such a system, because it is quite expensive at the moment, where it would hopefully be way more inexpensive in the next few years. But the next step would be working closer with Siemens to develop a pilot project with them.
Yeah, and so maybe also some of the other companies that are starting to, on the rise, that produces fuel cells actually on a large scale. There's a company starting to set up a production line in Aalborg in Denmark right now, but it doesn't exist yet. So definitely creating a production line for fuel cells is a very large part, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you. This is a super exciting area, super exciting technology. I'm sure it's going to have a major impact on our society. It's just a matter of when. Two questions. First, I mean, if you were to put your hand on the cooker, spend your own money, would you, or when would you start this business full time? And second question, how much is this project like? At this point, just research and the PowerPoint, or have you actually built some kind of prototyping or something like that?
I'll answer the last question first, and then maybe you'll answer the first question afterwards. In terms of if we've built the system, we haven't built the system. We have validated all the parts of the system and kind of figured out a bill of materials, figuring out what the cost is, and then we've estimated the cost in the future. So right now, our customer would be something like a more wealthier household that would be able to afford this type of system, it would still be profitable for them, but not as profitable as a similar system with, let's say, lithium batteries. So right now our customer segment would be like technology first movers, people that buy technology first, like the first people to buy smartphones and such. That would be the first people to buy them. And later on, we would be able to offer it at a lower price as the technology obviously moves on.
Yeah, so I think our expectation was 5 to 10 years around, then you would be able to sell this type of solution on the market if you wanted. There is actually, we also looked at some other competitors. There's a company doing this, Australian company, and that's still a startup, but they have their prototype available already. So we think this is a market that's emerging right now in the next 10 years. So that's our expectation for this.
And that's it. Guys, do you have other members of your team here in the hall?
No,
No, it's just the two of you. Perfect. X to the power. Big applause.